हेलो दोस्तों, स्वागत है आप सभी का हमारे चैनल इग्नू सेंटर पर। तो दोस्तों हमने आपको पार्ट 1 में क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 करके दिखाया, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 बहुत लंबा था। तो जो क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 रहेगा और 3 रहेगा वो हम आपको ये पार्ट 2 पर करके दिखाएंगे। तो हम आपको पहले क्वेश्चन दिखा दें कि क्वेश्चन क्या रहेगा, जो आज हम सॉल्व असाइनमेंट प्रोवाइड कराने जा रहे हैं उसका। तो आपका क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 जो है वो कंप्लीट हो चुका है। क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 है वो आपका व्हाट आर द जोग्राफिकल एंड सोशल पॉलिटिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट दैट हैव शेप्ड द लिटरेचर ऑफ ऑस्ट्रेलिया, वो है एक। और आपका क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 है देयर इज़ अ डेफिनेट रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन हिस्ट्री एंड लिटरेचर, कीपिंग दिस इन माइंड एनालाइज अ ग्रेन ऑफ व्हीट एज अ कम्प्लेक्स पोर्ट्रेयल ऑफ हिस्ट्री। तो ये दो क्वेश्चन से जो आज हम डील करने जा रहे हैं। तो दोस्तों आपका ये सॉल्व असाइनमेंट है 2020 to 21 का, और हमने MG01 का जो क्वेश्चन है वो डील कर लिया है। आपको ऑल क्वेश्चंस का सॉल्व असाइनमेंट जो है, पहले क्वेश्चन आप देख लीजिए जो हम डील करने जा रहे हैं। 1 आपका डील हो चुका है। क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 जो है व्हाट आर द जोग्राफिकल एंड सोशल पॉलिटिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट दैट हैव शेप्ड द लिटरेचर ऑफ ऑस्ट्रेलिया। और क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 देयर इज अ डेफिनेट रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन हिस्ट्री एंड लिटरेचर, कीपिंग दिस इन माइंड एनालाइज अ ग्रेन ऑफ व्हीट एज अ कम्प्लेक्स पोर्ट्रेयल ऑफ हिस्ट्री। ये आज हम डील करने जा रहे हैं। तो दोस्तों क्वेश्चंस का आंसर्स जो है आपको जिस प्रकार से हम बता रहे हैं उसी प्रकार से लिखना है, क्योंकि एक सॉल्व PDF है। और अगर आपको सॉल्व PDF चाहिए तो आप हमारे कमेंट बॉक्स में कमेंट कर सकते हैं, और आपको सॉल्व असाइनमेंट का फी लगेगा, जो कि हम आपको कॉन्टैक्ट के द्वारा बता देंगे कि आपको सॉल्व असाइनमेंट का कितना फी लगेगा। तो दोस्तों आज का जो क्वेश्चन है यानी क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 वो हम आज डील करने जा रहे हैं। तो क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 पर आपका जो क्वेश्चन है वो है व्हाट आर द जोग्राफिकल एंड सोशल पॉलिटिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट दैट हैव शेप्ड द लिटरेचर ऑफ ऑस्ट्रेलिया। एंड आंसर फॉर दिस क्वेश्चन इज द फॉलोइंग पॉइंट्स डिजर्व मेरिट। Number 1, Australia was discovered by Captain James Cook in 1788. Before the British claimed the island to be terra nullius, empty land, people had been living there for thousands of years. Number 3.1, the colony or penal colony was established by Cook, New South Wales. Number 2, later more colonies were established. Example, number A, Tasmania in 1825. Number B, West Australia in 1829. Number C, South Australia in 1836. Number D, Victoria in 1851. And number E, Queen Island in 1859. 0.41, earlier all those colonies had separated constitution. Number 2, on 26 January 1901 they formed a federation Commonwealth of Australia. Number 5, the Aboriginal people got citizenship only in 1967 after a natal referendum. Number 6, earlier Australia followed a white-only immigration policy. Number 7, it was in 1973 that Australia was declared a multicultural society by the Wiltlam and large-scale immigration started. Now quite a large number of Asians, including Indians, are migrating to Australia without break. The Australian University has started several courses for the immigrants. The Australian authorities are offering several employment opportunities to qualified and skilled workers and professionals. Number 11, previously Australia largely lived in isolation. Now she is increasingly voicing her opinion and concern in Number 1, world political and economic affair. Number 2, literary work. Number A, those aboriginal native that exist before the invasion. Number B, those belonging to the period prior to the modern period. Number C, those belonging to the modern times. Number 1, the early writing comprised oral traditional both. Number A, number 1, the aboriginal, and number 2, white settler. Number 2, oral form included number 1.1, aboriginal song cycle. Point 2, colonial ballads. Point 3, buzz song, etc. 3. Australian culture and national consciousness as we have today came into being inter alia, though. Point 1, later. Point 2, journal. Point 3, tabulosius, etc. 4. The crucial point regarding formation of national identity in the matter of accepting or rejecting the British and European colonials, literary and cultural modes. At the early stage, the European models were used for the purpose of comparison or reference. Number 6. The social environment of Australia was characterized by its penal system. Number 7. Thus, they are aroused the convict traditional in the Australian writing, which signified the element of resistance to authority and system. Number 8. The writing pertaining to the Outback tradition was based on the spirit of survival. Point 9. 1. The Bulletin School of Writing belonged to this period. Point 2. The peak period for such kind of writing was the 1880s. 10. Two important writers who belonged to this school were point 1. Banjo Peterson and number 2. Henley Lawson. 11. The font of inspiration for such writers was Australian natives tradition both for number A, verse, and number B, prose. Number 13. 12. What they did was the education of the Australian buzz. Number 13. Their works offer cultural values different from those offered by the metropolitan centers in Europe. Number 14. The main reason why the pioneers and busmen had to stick together with the spirit of common enterprise, independence, and egalitarianism was the wildness of the sprawling Australian environment. Number 15. This communality was one of the crucial factors which led to the forging of a monolithic national Australian identity vis the white colonial legacy. 16. Another important factor was the employment of the concept of mateship to cultural symbol by the Australian writers. 17.1. The women writers were able to discern their exclusiveness from the conceptualization of the buzz and mateship as symbol of Australian identity, Australianness. Point 2. They also highlighted the romanticization of the setting of the Australian nation, though since these symbols. 18. Some of such women writers were number 1. Elizabeth Jolie, number 2. Judith Reed, number 3. Barbara Benton. An important point to be noted is that the Ignou's writing was not ultimately excluded from the body of Australian writing. 20. The word Korai is sometimes used for this literature. 21. Some of the strong Aboriginal voices in Australia in 1960s are poetry, Kath Walker. Point 1. Point 2. Plays, Kevin Gilbert, A and B. Jack Davis. Point 3. Novels, Colin Johnson. Point 4. Autobiographical work. Number A. Sally Morgan. Number B. Langford. Number C. Glency Watt, etc. 22. The following are some of the diasporic immigrant writers writing in Australia at present. Adib Khan 1. Number 2. Beth Yap. Number 3. Judan Weten. Number 4. Yasmin Gonirathi. Number 5. David Martin. Number 6. Satyendra Nandan. Number 7. Dimitris Tasalumas, etc. 23. Like other writers, their writing is also directed towards an Australian identity concept. Among 24. Among the most famous white writers writing ballad and poetry genre are number A. A.G. Hope. Number 2. Benjo Peterson. Number 3. Judith Wright. 25. It should be noted that Peterson Waltzing Matilda has assigned unofficially the status of a national anthem. 26. The best known among the early Aboriginal writers with a strong poetic element are number 1. Kath Walker, later known as O. Odaro Nunukul, and number 2. Colin Johnson, later known as Muduru. 27. An attempt was made in 1930 to bring together the two poetic streams. Number 1. The Aboriginal writers and number 2. The white writer. 28. In this regard, Jindi Wurubak movement was started by Rex Igamels. 29. As all over the world, there has been considerable progress in the field of fiction and personal narrative. Number 30. Some of the early writers of fiction were number 1. Patrick White. Number 2. Randolph Stowe.
Hello.
Number 3. Xavier Herbert, etc.
Hello.
31. Some of the late writers who earned great popularity in the sphere of novel writing are number 1. T.S. Shelley. Number 2. David Malouf. Number 3. R.C. Wheeler. 32. Among the Aboriginal fiction writers, two important ones are Ruby Langford and number 2. Sally Morgan. So friend, till here our question number 1 was completed, and now we begin. Question number 2 was completed, and now we begin with our question number 3, which is: there is a definite relationship between history and literature. Keep this in mind. Analyze a grain of wealth as a complex portrayal of history. And answer for this question is number 1. A grain of wheat presents the action and reaction of various sections during the Mau phase in Kenya. Number 2. Among such sections were number A. various African tribes. Number B. white sailors. Number C. Indians. Number D. white ruler, etc. Number 2. P. Osula Urziro remark. In a grain of wheat, the author probes into the psychology of those characters who have undergone serious difficulties and consequence disillusionment, but who during the time of emergency have found some meaning and purpose in life in the tough fight for the country independence of tears and broken handles. Number 3, the novel is however not basically based on the theme of number 1 betrayal or number 2 all are guilty. Number 4, on the surface we have some negative happenings. Example, number 1 Mugo betrayal, number 2 Jikono confession, number 3 Mumbi falling in the hand of Karanga, etc. Number 5, none of these incidents bearing in mind the peculiar circumstance should be deemed a betrayal of the struggle for freedom. Number 6, Mugo behavior at the Rira detention camp, for instance, ever before his final and formal confession was a sort of convert confession. Example, sometimes he would have the waters whip Mugo before the other detainees. Sometimes in naked fury he would snatch the whip from the waters and apply it himself. A grain of wheat, page number 117. Number 7. His humanity was clearly visible when he saved Wambuku and others from being tortured in the trenches. Number 8. Ngugi succeed in presenting a true-to-life picture of the freedom movement, though particularities of various characters such as point 1 the hopeful, A. Warui, number B. Wambui, number C. General R, and number D. Lieutenant Koi Nandu. Number 2. The fearful and self-taught Mugu. Number 3. The fearing and concerning Karanga. Number 4. The nervous capitalist and special Gi Konyo. Number 5. The conflict-ridden oppressed Mumbi. Number 6. The factually fiction-ridden. Number A. Kihika. Number B. Kenyatta. Number C. Tuku. Number D. Karanga, etc. Point 7. The village of Thabai, representing the ordinary common people of Kenya. Point 8. The deaf and dumb boy shot death, representing the murder of the most innocent. 9. The mute behavior of his older mother, representing the innumerable mothers who bewail only in their hearts the death of their near and dear children at the hand of the cruel British colonizers. Number 8. We have the extremes in the novels. Number 1. Kihika, the brave revolutionary. Number 2. Karanga, the coward who bows before the meat of the colonizer. Number 9. The split in the relationship of Gikonyo and Mumbi represent the diabolical effect of the British cruelties on the one hand and the ongoing struggles on the other. Number 10. As the Uru approach, the people dance and sing with joy. Number 11. 1. Ngugi, however, had the insight to visualize the things to come by presenting the character of MP who grabbed Mr. Burton's Greenhall farm. Number 2. This way he spoiled the chance of Gikon and other villages to have a comparative farm. 12. Thus a new struggle was bound to ensure after the departure of the white man. Answer 1.1. The most important white man who expresses these effects in the novel is थॉम्पसन द DO. तो दोस्तों ये जो आपका आंसर से जो आपको फर्स्ट में भी आंसर 1 मिला था और अभी भी आंसर 1 मिल रहा है, तो आपको लग रहा होगा कि ये दोनों आंसर डिफरेंस है। तो दोस्तों ये दोनों आंसर्स क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 के ही आंसर्स हैं। पॉइंट 2. थॉम्पसन was a hardcore British royalist. He felt that after the departure of the British, everything would come to naught. Number 4. Certain remarks in regard to him are given in the novel. Number 1. Would these things remain after Thursday? Perhaps for 2 months, and then test tubes and breakers would be broke or lie unwashed on the cement. The hot houses and seat beds strewing with wild pants and the outer buzz, which had been carefully hemmed, would gradually creep into a little filled compound. A grain of wheat, page number 38. At Rira 2.2, at Rila, the tragedy of his life occurred. A hunger strike, a litter beating, and 11 detainees died. The fact leaked out because he was an officer in charge. Thompson's name was bandied about in the House of Commons and in the world press. A grain of wheat, page number 42. Number 3. Thompson felt that silence pain, almost agony, that people feel at the knowledge that they might not be indispensable after all. A grain of wheat, page number 42. Point 4. Thompson generally believed that the Britishers' actions in Africa was morally sound. He thought that the British in Africa were like Prospero in Africa. Point 5. About the freedom fighters, he thought, no government can tolerate anarchy. No civilization can be built on this violence and savagery. Mau Mau is evil. A movement which, if not checked, will mean complete destruction of all the values on which our civilization has thriven. A grain of wheat, page number 72. Point 5. Another important white person was Thompson's wife. She had ideas similar to those of her husband. Was she really using this kitchen for last time? Would she never see Githima again? Would her flowers mean anything to whoever would take her place in the house? A grain of wheat, page number 44. 6.1. In spite of all the profession of the British people to express a moral faith to justify their misdeeds,
certain person like Kihika had in their faith to know the reality and the real motives of the wise people, and this made them act as they did. Point 2. In this context, Nuguri writes in the novel, Kihika's interest in politics began when he was a small boy and sat under the feet of Warui, listening to stories of how the land was taken from black people. Warui needed only a listener. He recounted the deeds of Waiyaki and other warriors who brought 1900 had been killed in the struggle to drive out the white man from the land of young Harry, and the fate that befell the 1923 procession of Muthirigu and the mission school that forbade circumcision in order to eat like insect. Both the roots and the stem of the Gikuyu society, unknown to those around him. Kihika hearts hardened towards these people long before he had even encountered a white face. Soldiers came back from their war and told stories of what they had seen in Burma, Egypt, Palestine, and India. Wasn't Mahatma Gandhi the saint leading the Indian people against the British rule? Kihika fed on these stories. His imagination and daily observation told him the rest. From early on, he has vision on himself, a saint leading the Gikuyu people to free the power. A grain of wheat, page number 72 to 73. So friends, till here our question number 3 was also finished, and in the next part, which was part 3, we move to question number 4. And if it was not the long question or long answer, we deal with question number 4 and 5 in the same part of the video. So I hope in the part 3 we deal with question number 4 and question number 5 at next video, because it seems both the questions were not that much long, and I try to make the video as soon and on the part 3 itself. So friends, thank you, and hope this video, which was question number 2 and 3, would help you to solve the assignment. And if it was helpful for you, then you can press the bell icon of subscription and give a thumbs on our video and make comment on that. Thank you.